We have a question. The question is Sanatana Dharma. Yeah, that's what you asked. What does it mean when the word Sanatana Dharma is used? Another name for Vedanta is Sanatana Dharma. It's not Vedanta and Sanatana Dharma are not two separate things. Vedanta is more a popular name. Sanatana Dharma is orthodox name. Both means the same. Vyasa is a more popular name. His name is not Vyasa. His name is Krishna Dvaipayana. That's his name. But you would say the great Krishna Dvaipayana, no one understands. You say Vyasana, people relate to. Kaushika is his name. Vishwamitra is the popular name. So people know him by Vishwamitra. If you say Kaushikana, people doesn't know. Similarly, Sanatana Dharma and Vedanta. Both are one and the same. Sanatana means eternal. Some principles do not change. Even though we say life equals change. Everything keeps changing. There are some principles that do not change. Those principles that do not change is what is known as Sanatana Dharma. You follow? One kind of dharma is according to desha and kala. One kind of dharma is according to desha and kala. That keeps changing. There is another principle which doesn't change. Why this distinction between these two dharmas is because, understand it like this, it's easy. The basic instinct of a human being is to reason. A human being has to reason. Now, rightly or wrongly is a different issue, but the instinct of a human being is to reason. You talk to a drunken man, he also has a reason. You talk to the child also has a reason. The man has some reasons to live. The same man has reasons to die also. So to live you have some reason, to die you have some reason, to buy you have some reason, to sell what you bought you have another reason, to marry there is a reason, to divorce also there is another reason. So instinct of a human being is to reason. Now this reasoning is guided by what? The wise man says, let your reason be guided by some fixed principle. That is Sanatana Dharma. If the reasoning is not following the principles laid out in Sanatana Dharma, it will follow your likes and dislikes. Reasoning is either backed by Sanatana Dharma or it is backed by your likes and dislikes. Rarely anyone reasons with Sanatana Dharma as the standard. All reasoning goes around the likes and dislikes as the basis. So these men of the past, they found out these whatever those dharmas are, and they laid out in a systematic way, and that is what we have as Vedanta today. Okay. I'm not getting into the technicalities of, because that's what all our week after week after week we are studying only Sanatana Dharma. All that I want to say is Sanatana Dharma and Vedanta is one and the same. Vedanta, Veda plus Anta. Anta means the end. Veda means knowledge. Where does knowledge end? Textbook ends. The books comes to an end. Where does knowledge end? You follow? And here we have we are glorifying something, what is known as Vedanta, the end of knowledge. What does it mean? You gain this knowledge, you understand this knowledge, some things in life comes to an end. You gain this knowledge, you understand this knowledge, certain things in life comes to an end. Otherwise, certain things keeps, how much ever knowledge you gain externally, a few things in life keeps continuing all the time. And that seems to never end at all. You follow? What is it that comes to an end? First thing that comes to an end is the paradox, the dilemma of choice. You gain this knowledge, you know what to choose, what not to choose. You know to choose the real and ignore the unreal. It's the choice. Down the line, you can equate it to all the choices that you make. But what is the fundamental? Leave the unreal and hold on to the real. In that sense, the unreal comes to an end. Otherwise, the unreal goes on and on and on. No. What we generally talk as the dilemma of choice. Always the dilemma is this: what to do, what not to do, or am I doing the right thing? On what basis the choices are made? You can make the choices according to your likes and dislikes, or you can make the choices according to some dharma. That principle is what is known as Sanatana Dharma. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, we make choices according to likes and dislikes. Now the choices is made according to the eternal principle. Eternal principle in the sense of human beings' recognition is not required. The entire humanity can agree, the entire humanity can disagree, the entire humanity can say it is correct, the entire humanity can stand up and say all this is sheer nonsense, all this has no meaning, but the principles do not change. In that sense it is Sanatana. In that sense it is known as Sanatana Dharma. Remember Galileo's letter of apology. So, if you want to understand Dharma, remember that story. Story. Galileo's letter of apology. Remember that letter. He said, no, the sun and the earth doesn't listen to you and me. You can say what you want, I can say what I want, but the sun and the earth doesn't listen to you and me. In that sense it is Galileo wrote that letter. Have you heard that story? We have not heard the story, no? Appara. It's nice. Too much of philosophy is getting very difficult to handle. Copernicus said sun is the center and earth revolves around the sun. Previously the whole humanity thought Earth is the center and sun? Because it is common sense. You are not moving. Nothing around you is moving. How can you even doubt that maybe you are moving and not the sun? Even to get the doubt is impossible. And that man got the doubt. He went through whatever he went through, and finally he said, sun is the center and earth revolves around the sun. Today third standard child knows it. It was a huge discovery in the 15th century. And for this discovery, he was burnt alive. This is history. This is not my story. This is history. He was tied to the post and burnt alive. 25 years later, Galileo came out and said, sun is the center and earth revolves around the sun. Again they called him. They said, see the post there? The post was still there in the middle of the town. You see the post there? Say, yes. You know what happened there? Galileo, he wasn't aware. If he is aware, why will he write it? He wasn't aware. What happened? One man like you said this 25 years back. He was burnt alive. And then he was asked, now what are you saying to Galileo? Galileo replied, what do you want me to say? He's a very wise man. What do you want me to say? Agree that you are wrong. And Galileo accepted that he is wrong. He gave it in writing that I am. Actually, he's a very wise man because he didn't want to, he had no suicidal tendencies first of all. He didn't want to be burnt alive by this group. So he simply said, I will agree that I am wrong. We will not agree. You have to give it in writing. And he gave it in writing. That's called Galileo's letter of apology. He gave it in writing. You know, he was pardoned 25 years back. In the 1995 or 96, he was pardoned for that. And you believe that he said something in 15th century and he was forgiven for that and we are a very advanced society, no? He was pardoned only 25 years back for this grand mistake. In that time itself he wrote a letter. And beautiful is that apology. You know the truth of life, you can't corner a madman. You can't corner a wise man. For they will know how to escape. You can't corner a madman because how much ever you talk to him, he knows how to, you will get tired, but he will not get tired. Similarly, you can't corner a wise man, and Galileo is a very wise man and he knew how to convey what he wanted to convey. So he wrote the letter of apology. And then he said, will you allow me to write a footnote? Footnote, you understand? Yeah, it will be printed in such a small letter. No one knows. The printer won't know. The writer won't know. No one knows what it is. That's why it's called a footnote. And Galileo wrote in that footnote. That's what I quoted. Most of them have heard these stories any number of times. So, Galileo's footnotes, they will repeat. Galileo wrote, within quotes, Galileo, the sun and the earth doesn't listen to you and me. You can say what you want, I can say what I want, but the truth continues to exist. That is Sanatana Dharma. That which is agreed, that which is disagreed is not Sanatana. That boils down to the Sadharana Dharma. Sadharana Dharma means that dharma according to desha kala. Dharma here when you go to the temple is leave the footwear outside. You go to Rishikesh to the temple, you go to Badrinath, Kedarnath to the temple, you wear buy the best shoes that is available in the market and you can wear that and go. This is dharma according to desha and kala. What happens if you don't wear footwear there? Half a day your leg has to be amputated. So you have to wear footwear there. Here you don't have to wear footwear. So there are some dharmas which is according to desha and kala. There are something which is sanatana. Distinction. Shrutis belong to sanatana dharma. Shruti means the Upanishads. Shruti textbooks belongs to sanatana dharma, and Shruti textbooks means Upanishads, and Upanishads are nothing but Vedanta. In that sense, both are one and the same. The various religions that came out of this, the various gods and goddesses that came out of it is not sanatana dharma. Carefully follow. Shiva is not sanatana dharma. Vishnu is not sanatana dharma. All these came out to explain something. Stories created to, don't get mixed up between the ritualistic side of it as sanatana dharma. It is the knowledge part of it is sanatana. Don't get mixed up. The ritualistic part of it is not sanatana. The philosophical part of it is sanatana. Because the rituals keeps changing. No. The ritualistic things keeps changing. But then there are certain principles that do not change. So don't get mixed up between the ritualistic portion as sanatana dharma. The misunderstanding today is the whole lot they put it one and they started calling it as sanatana dharma. Even today if you go to Mylapore you can see those two temples. When we are living there, our house shared the same compound with the two temples, and both are Vishnu temples only, not Shiva temples. Both are Vishnu temples. Opposite sect, next to each other. Even today it happens. When one deity comes out, the other temples, you know what they do? When one deity comes out, the other temple, the curtains are pulled. That is not sanatana dharma. One Vishnu should not see another Vishnu. Where? Here, right? Right here. You can go. After that, enga therida? Kesha Perumal and rendu pakkathula. Today also if you go there you can see that one small balcony sticking out from the terrace. That's where we lived. Wonderful place, I tell you. You sit there, you can see this temple, you can see that temple, you can see that in a distance. Wonderful place. But then all that is sanatana is what? When one Vishnu comes out, another Vishnu curtains are pulled. That is not sanatana. That is rituals. When we say Vedanta, Sanatana Dharma, we don't mean the ritualistic side of it. We mean the philosophical side of it. That distinction you have to understand. Otherwise, everyone is going back saying the ritualistic side of it is also Sanatana Dharma. You follow? Hmm? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
The rituals, the deities, all this is the rituals, the deities, all the rest belongs to Sadharana Dharma. Those dharmas are many. These dharmas are many. 18th chapter he says, renounce all these dharmas. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam. Renounce all these dharmas. There are two kinds. One is the Sanatana, eternal. Another is these dharmas. What we call as Vedanta is that dharma, which doesn't change according to time and place. Hundred years back, father and children will never have a conversation. Today also it is tending towards that. Yeah, today also. You can't have a conversation with you. When the father walks in, when the father walks in, children troops out. No conversation happens directly. Today it is the opposite. Yeah, at least I do that. When Swati walks in, I go into the room. It's not that fathers were all terrorists 100 years back. And fathers are loving only today. Some part of it changes, some part of it doesn't change. Lot of clarity is required to distinguish. First of all, there are these two in life. And then to decide, to reason based on that which do not change. That's why all the reasoning that we do here is against the taking the references from where do we take the references from? Sanatana Dharma, meaning the Upanishads, which is the popular name for those Upanishads is Vedanta. You follow? Why reasoning? In the Mundaka Upanishad, the boy asked the question, not the boy, the Shaunaka goes and asks Angirasa, what a question he asked. What is that knowing by which I will know? Everything. There has to be one knowledge. There has to be something so fundamental, knowing that you will know. You will know everything else. What is that? What is that knowledge? And beautiful list he gives. Para and Apara. Apara Vidya and Para Vidya. Apara means lower, Para means higher. What is Apara Vidya? Tatra para Rigvedo, Yajurvedo, Samavedo, Tarva Vedaha. Lower knowledge. Yeah. He says, Apara Vidya, Tatra Para, Tatra Apara. Tatra Para, you do the Sanskrit grammar, Tatra Para, Apara Vidya, Tatra Para, Rigvedo, Samavedo, Sarva Vedaha. He doesn't stop there. Siksha Kalpo, Vyakarano, Nirikto, Chando, Jyotishamiti. All this is Apara Vidya, lower knowledge. And Mundaka Upanishad is one of that. Is from Mundaka Upanishad is one of that Apara Vidya. And what is Para Vidya? What is Para Vidya? Adhan Para Vidya, we will lose interest in that. What is Para Vidya? What is the higher knowledge, the real knowledge? The real knowledge is that consciousness. Is that pure consciousness. Now, sir, where are those? Let us discuss something else. Consciousness, Allah, we'll see. Allah, later we'll see. We have so many things to worry about now. Let us worry about these. You follow? Why Sanatana Dharma is the basis for reasoning? Sanatana Dharma, if you take as the basis for reasoning, the exaggerations of the mind comes down. The mind exaggerates. You need a powerful reasoning to bring the exaggeration down. That's why this reasoning is very, very important. The mind says you can't live without it. The knowledge comes and says what you think is so important in life has no value, has no meaning. Idella illa Sanatana Dharma. It has no existence. What you are valuing has no existence. At least 100 times you listen, one time you will start thinking, what are they? What are they saying? Instantly some changes happen. What? The exaggerations of the mind starts. The exaggerations of the mind starts coming down, reducing. Your reasoning ability increases. The capacity to see the invisible in the visible. What is visible is the world. What is invisible is Brahman. What is visible is the world. What is invisible is God. You need a special kind of reasoning. You need a different kind of knowledge to expose the invisible in the visible. The ghee is invisible in the milk. Milk is visible. What is not visible? The ghee. And then there is a process by which you can extract. Similarly, what you see is the world, and if you go through the recommended paths, the visible world goes away and what is invisible becomes visible. And what is that? Prajnanam Brahma. What is God? Consciousness is God. Now what to do with that God? A God who is a protector is appealing. A God who is a savior is appealing. A God who will come and say, I will take care of your problems is appealing. The God says, I am just consciousness. I enliven. And what to do with the enlivening factor? No utility. Therefore, that God is not useful. Useful to me means useful for fulfilling likes and dislikes. When you say something is useful, something is not useful, what are you saying? This is very useful. Means what? Something in it is there to fulfill your likes and dislikes. When you say this is not useful, this is absolutely useless, now what does it mean? There is nothing in it to fulfill your likes and dislikes. Sanatana Dharma speaks about, gives a standard against which you can measure, reason, analyze. You follow? So don't misunderstand the ritualistic portions as Sanatana Dharma, because the ritualistic portion keeps changing. You do, you may choose to do, you may choose not to do, that is individualistic choices. As far as Sanatana Dharma is concerned, you have no choice but to follow. The Sadharana Dharma, you have a choice to do or not to do. But as far as the Sanatana Dharma is concerned, you have no choice. In one word, Sanatana Dharma is Vedanta. Vedanta and Sanatana Dharma means one and the Is there anything specific that you are looking for?
No, sir.
Huh? Now back to Krishna and Arjuna. Emotional appeal for action. After the intellectual appeal for action, which didn't have much effect on Arjuna, he shifts to emotional appeal. The third emotion, where we left last week, is the vanity, the ego. You are a leader, Arjuna, and since you being the leader, the world follows what the leader does, not what he says, but what he does. Since the world follows the leader in terms of what he is doing, be careful about what you are doing. You are running away from this battlefield, and now you are setting a standard. What is the standard? Difficulty comes, run away. Difficulty comes, escape. Says, no, Arjuna, you being a leader, he is feeding on that pride of Arjuna. He must be having some, definitely he will be having some pride. That's why he is falling for these things. What is the pride? I am the leader. Leadership is a responsibility. Responsibility means always thinking about the collective good. Can't afford to look at your individual. What is the responsibility of a leader? A leader cannot afford to look at his individual preferences, his individual things has to be kept aside, has to be sacrificed for a collective good, for a common cause, whatever be it. But nevertheless, a leader, that is the responsibility of the leader. He can't say, my wife is sick, my children is sick, therefore I can't. A leader can't afford that, because he has a different responsibility. And leadership is a tremendous responsibility. What is the responsibility? Others look at what you do and they follow that. They don't look at what you say, they look at what you do. Therefore, be careful about what you do. You can't give a discourse and go and do. You can't give a discourse and go and do something else. You have to do it, and that doing is inspiring for the other to follow. What is the responsibility? Others going to imitate your doing, because the vast majority imitates. The language that the child speaks, you know what language is used in the house, no? You see, you talk to a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, whatever vocabulary the child has, whatever knowledge, whatever language the child uses, what do you understand? That's what they use at home, because the nature of the child is to imitate. The masses imitate. What do they imitate? They imitate what do you? Responsibility, sacrifice. You follow? Sacrifice means what? Sacrificing what? Sacrificing your whatsoever you call as your individual things, you have to sacrifice. I've given this example before, I'm giving the same example again. When that man decided to fight for the country's freedom, wife said, go back to work. Suddenly the man decided to fight for country's freedom, and he told his wife. Wife said, fantastic idea to work for the country's freedom. But you should have thought about it before getting married. You will get married, produce 5 children, and then come and say, I am fighting for country's freedom. Mr. Gandhi, go back to work, she says. Mahatma Gandhi writes this in his my experiments with truth. Mahatma Gandhi writes this portion. Otherwise we will never know, no. What happened between them unless someone says it, how will we know? And he writes, sleepless nights I have to spend trying to convince myself, he says. Sleepless nights I have to spend convincing myself, because am I fit enough to take that responsibility? Am I actually ready for that responsibility? Because it is a tremendous. After that, what he says and what he does is what? What he does is what the others. It's a mass psychology. What is that? Whatever the leader does, the others emulate. Not what you say. That's why they say action speaks louder than words. No, they say, no, the English thing. Action speaks louder than words. And it is true. For people can look at only the action and not the words. Why not the words? See, there are 30-35 people sitting here. Each and every word, every individual has a different meaning to that. Not everyone understands the word in the same way. There is a problem with the word. There is a difficulty with the words, because meanings differ. No two persons speaks the same language, he says. In the book Clearer Thinking, A. E. Mander writes, no two persons speaks the same language, and he's talking about not English and Russian. He says, those who speak the same language, meanings differ. Therefore, what you say and what the other receives, God only knows. That's why communication is, even today communication is a major problem. That's why we have machine languages where the machine understands perfectly, correct? That's why we are comfortable with the machine, because machine understands the language. That's why there is human language, and then there is machine language. For words has a difficulty. What is the difficulty? No two persons speaks the same language. Therefore, how much ever you try to say, the message doesn't get conveyed. Another thing is what? He gets up and does it, it speaks louder. That's what the leader has to do. And Arjuna, you being the leader, don't set the wrong example. For people will quote you in future. They will say, Arjuna himself ran away. Therefore, it is fully acceptable that we can also run away. when you are emphasizing, by emphasizing Arjuna's influence and importance, vanity is fed. This is the emotional appeal. Are you able to understand? What is the emotional appeal here? By emphasizing on, you are a very influential person, Arjuna. You are very, very important. Everyone looks up to you. Everything now is dependent upon what move you take. You therefore be careful. It's okay, pa. Let us do it. You follow? Let us do it. It's an emotional appeal. Intellectual person will say, if they follow, it is their problem. I do what is my. He will walk away. You can't talk this language to an intellectual person will say, if they follow, it is their problem. Why should I be bothered? He will walk away quietly. He will not be influenced by this. Arjuna is not that emotional type. Arjuna is not that intellectual type. He is that emotional type. So you can play around with emotions. And Krishna is, that's why he is a very dangerous man. He knows what spots to touch. You know what spot to? Yes, there are some spots, no. You should not touch that. Carefully, you don't touch that. And Krishna knows what to touch, and he's touching those things. When he's doing that, him being a wonderful teacher, he gives the message also to us. It's not just touching Arjuna. There is a message also for the general welfare. What is the message? Whatever the leader does, the masses follow. Whatever standards he sets, his followers emulate. Therefore, all the reasoning that you gave to me, Arjuna, no one heard that reasoning. All that people will know is what? Arjuna spoke, no, one whole chapter and 10 verses in second chapter, giving out the reasonings. No one heard all that, Krishna. No one heard all that, Arjuna. All that people will see is what? 13 long years you planned with full energy and vigor. You came into the battlefield, and now what happened? Running away. Yeah. You are setting a wrong example. Don't do that. By emphasizing his importance, by emphasizing that he can influence the others, his vanity is fed. Most of the time it works. Be careful. Your children are watching you now. Oh, then they become, what is there? If they watch, it is there. You can't take that. You can't take the stance. It's an emotional appeal. And there is a message also. You follow? Verse number 22.
Name Parthasthi Kartavyam Vishu Lokeshu Kinchana Nanavaptam Avaptavyam Varsaheva Cha Karmani Name Parthasthi Kartavyam Vishu Lokeshu Kinchana Nanavaptam Avaptavyam
O Partha, there is nothing in the three worlds that has to be done by me, nor anything unattained that has to be attained. Yet I engage in action. Another psychological method. Another emotional appeal. What is the emotional appeal here? Personal appeal. I am doing, no. Why can't? Why don't you do? நானே பண்றேன். What is your problem? The fellow will turn back and say, if you are doing it, it is your problem. Why should I do? But it works. A human weakness is a human weakness. All these emotional appeals indicate one weakness. It's a human weakness. Generally emotions are, you may agree, you may not agree, Sanatana Dharma. Emotions makes you weak. Emotions make you vulnerable. You may agree, you may not agree. And today the whole world is about just getting more emotional you have to get. More and more emotional you have to get. And emotions, you may agree, you may not agree, but it makes you weak. Another emotion here. What is another emotion? Personal appeal. What is a personal appeal? Arjuna, you all act because you all want something. Arjuna, why do you act? Arjuna, because you want something. I don't want anything. Do you think I want anything? Arjuna can't say yes, no. Krishna, you also need something. He can't say. So he says, do you think I need anything? Do you think I am wanting something? Do you think I don't have something that I have to act? Still you see me acting. Follow my example. Intellectual person will say, good for you. Why should I follow? It's a human weakness. The example that he gives, a very beautiful example of the human weakness, how it works. A friend comes, you offer a cup of coffee, he declines. He says, no, it's okay. Leela, I am going to have now. Will you also have now? Okay. Half a cup kudungo. If you are having, you have. Why should I have? But the emotions don't work like that. It has its own way of functioning. People do that most of the times and it miserably fails. I like it, therefore I bought it for you. If you like it, you should buy for yourself. Why should you buy it? Because what I like, you will also. All these emotional things do not work. It works temporarily. You can give some boost. You can give some temporary boost and make him do something. Arjuna, Krishna's priority is the war should happen now. That's all. And he is ready. If Arjuna is not going to cooperate, he will start fighting. He is ready for. He is ready for that also. Why? Because that man has no problem. Emotional appeal. What is this emotional appeal here? A personal appeal. I engage in action. I engage in action means, why do you think I came into this battlefield, Arjuna? What do you think that I am going to get out of all this? But still I am doing. Why can't you do? Why don't you do? One attempts personal appeals when intellectual reasons fails. When intellectual reasoning has failed, you have to resort to a personal appeal. And what is personal appeal? You try to convince the other. You try to tell the other, follow my example. It will work only when the other is looking up to you. Again, I repeat, it will work only when the other is looking up to you. When the other is not looking up to you, they will turn back and say, I am doing, why can't you do, na? The parents tell this to the children, all the time they make this personal appeal, no? And none of the personal appeals work. Why? Because they don't look up to. They understand the difference. Where there is affection, necessarily it will not be followed by looking up to. Looking up to is a different trait. Looking up to is a different, you need a different personality. Children are affectionate, but then the parent assumes that out of that affection, what will follow automatically? That they will look up to. Are you able to distinguish the difference? In order to look up to, you should be able to inspire. When you live a life of tapas, you will be able to inspire the others. Your own mind is not looking up to you. You give a command to the mind doesn't listen. When your own mind is not listening to you, why will anyone else listen to you? And yet these personal appeals, it goes, everyone keeps making this personal appeal and it doesn't work. Why in the case of Krishna it worked? Why in the case of the rest it doesn't work? That's what I'm trying to explain. In the case of Krishna it worked. If I go and tell this to my own daughter, it will not work. What is the difference? Arjuna looked up to Krishna. And what made Arjuna to look up to Krishna? What made them to look up to? He was living that life of service and sacrifice. When you start living a life of service and sacrifice, your mind starts respecting you. Your mind starts looking up to you. It starts obeying you. When your mind obeys you, rest, you will be able to inspire somebody else. Today is exactly the opposite. Why? Because everyone believes that they are the personification of sacrifice. Everyone in the core of their heart believes that they are a symbol of, they are the personification of service and sacrifice. No one else has sacrificed the way that you have done it. Everyone is like that. Simple example, 2-3 examples I give, it's easy. See, the world has seen millions of mothers till now. Not millions, maybe billions, trillions of mothers, and every mother thinks she is slightly greater than her own mother also. She also had a mother, no? Millions have fallen in love till now. Billions, trillions have fallen in love till now. And even in future also, they are going to fall in love. And all those who fall in love, they think their love is, all others, they also fall in love. But other than lust, selfishness is, but our love is, if you want to know what purity is, what is the yardstick? The yardstick is Sanatana Dharma. That's why these are all eternal principles. These are the yardsticks which doesn't fail at all. You live a life of service and sacrifice. First thing that happens is your mind listens to you. In order to listen, it has to look up to. This is the emotion. If you have to listen to someone, you should be able to look up to. If you don't look up to, you cannot They may be saying the gospel truth, but it will not work. You follow? Arjuna looks up to Krishna. He had a personal appeal. Personal appeal will work only when you are able to inspire. Otherwise, personal appeals don't work. It bounces back negatively. In most of the relationships, these personal appeals are bouncing back negatively. I am doing, no, why can't you do? You tell this to your children today. I am going to class, why can't you come to class? Try and say that. They will say, you go. That's all. Don't. For nothing has happened. No. Nothing has. There is no personal. There is no looking up to. It worked. For Arjuna, it worked. Why? Because look at the powerful statement he says. There is nothing in the three worlds that has to be done by me, Arjuna. There is nothing that has to be. We all have something to do. We all have something to do. Sunday, 7:30, I have to do. Come on. Whether I talk sense or nonsense is a different story. But we all have something to. No. Whether you have to sit and listen or not is a different story. No. You all don't have to listen. But I have to. But then you have to do something. So everyone has something to do. Krishna says, look at the powerful statement. There is nothing in the three worlds that has to be done by me. I have nothing to do. Because I have nothing to, nor anything unattained that has to be attained. Nor anything unattained that has to be attained. You feel like prostrating to him and doing what he does. No. That's the personal appeal. Yet I engage in action. The three worlds refers to the three lokas. Trishu lokeshu. The three lokas. I don't go through these three experiences of waking, dream. Basically, you can interpret it like that. Or the three lokas of the heaven, the earth, and the hell. In whatever interpretation you give doesn't matter. All that he's saying is, I don't have anything to do. What a state it is to reach, where the man can say, I have nothing to do. Even if we don't have anything else to do in life, we all have to do one basic thing. You know what? We all have to die. We are still alive, no. One thing at least we have to do that also. At least one thing. I don't have anything to do, sir. No, you can't say that. One thing is still pending. What? That's still pending. No, that's why we are all sitting. We are all sitting here. Something or the other we have to do. And look at this man saying, I have nothing to do. Nor anything unattained. Nor anything. And yet I engage in action. And still you see me doing. It's a personal appeal. At 92, 93, he is still running around doing. It's a personal, it's an emotional appeal. At 93 we can do. Why can't you do? Now it's a personal appeal. It will work when? Only when you look up to it. Otherwise it will not. Otherwise it will not work. You follow? Therefore, in order for the personal appeal to work, you should be able to inspire the other. And when does inspiration come? When will you be inspired? When someone does an act of service, you are inspired. When someone does an act of sacrifice, you are inspired. Someone does constant service, constant sacrifice. What an inspiration it is. Whatever appeals that person can make, that person can make a personal appeal and it will work. Otherwise it will not work. And what is the yardstick? The yardstick for personal appeal is what? I have said it again. Whose mind? Correct. Your mind should listen to you. My mind must listen to me. I tell the mind, stay here. It should stay. I tell the mind, stay here. It goes. Yeah, world tour and doesn't come back at all. Now what to do? You follow? You tell the child, stay put. Now what the child can do? The child can't do. So how do you engage the child? ಅದು ಇನ್ನ ಟೈಪ್ ಅದು ಇನ್ನದು Spider-Man. You have to give a Spider-Man toy to keep the child engaged. அது மட்டும் போராது. Because in 10 minutes it will go away. அப்புறம் drawing book. Another 15 minutes that also goes. அப்புறம் another, I'm seeing the list. It's a tamasha to see from here. Nothing works na 8:30 now. 8:38, sir? 8:30. What else? And you have to give. Opposite of that is, imagine, you tell the child, sit here, and the child sits there. Wow, what a state. Say, father, say, is my task done? The boy stood at the burning deck. Remember the poem? There is a book called Poems Book. Select English poems. In that there are a few poems. And one of the poem is correct. All course students all finished the course. Kasa? Correct. In that the boy is standing on the boy stood on the burning deck. The father gave the command. What is the command? Stay here. And he went down to attend to something. The ship caught fire. And the father is dead. He caught in that fire and he is dead. And the flames are reaching. The flames are coming high and high. And the boy is standing there at the burning deck. The last thing the boy says, say, father, say, is my task done? The flames engulfed the boy. And the winds started whispering. The poem ends like that, no? The winds starts whispering. What do they whisper? What a boy. What a boy. Because of what? A command is given and is it? A command is given and implicitly followed. If you know your command is not going to work, simply? Correct. Yeah. At least that much you should. Then you go, Mama, and the fellow does exactly the opposite and you get more? Correct. Why all that? In order for the command to work, you should be able to inspire. Inspiration doesn't come through intelligence. You display intelligence, inspiration will not come. Appreciation will come. Understand the difference between appreciation and inspiration. The children loves the parents. Don't go back saying children are selfish. They don't. They love. But you have a wrong assessment. You have a wrong expectation. What? They should look up to. Follow means only when they look up to they can follow. No. Are able to follow. Only when they look up to they can follow. And when will you be looked up to? Only when you live a life of service and sacrifice. You live a life of service and sacrifice and stay quiet. It speaks for itself. And you know whom to tell this to also. You will not go and tell this to. You know whom to tell. Yeah. Opposite of that is you go and tell. See, you give a command, the security fellow here won't listen. The security fellow also doesn't listen to your command. And the only way to make him listen is what? You have to buy. You have to buy him. How do you have to buy him? Give him tips. For that 50 rupees he will listen to. At least he will put up an act of listening to. What? One command. Second command you give. 100 rupees you have to give. Where it works? It just doesn't work. But in Krishna's case, it works. In the case of a wise man, in the case of the enlightened masters, it works. Why? Because he is able to inspire. He is able to make the other look up to. Affection will give you affection. Intelligence will get you appreciation. Are you able to follow? Intelligence will get you appreciation. You are affectionate, it will give. The world reciprocates. With equivalence only. Because of ignorance, you give something and you expect something else. What you give love and affection and you expect obedience. That's looking up to. That's all. Looking up to. You look up to when most of the time we look up to the parents after they are dead and gone. When that man is alive, he is a pain because constantly asking for a glass of he is asking for a glass of water, asking this, asking that. He is a slightly painful. Same man dead and gone, affection starts pouring, everything starts happening. Why? What is the difference? You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything anymore. You follow? What happened last week? Same father only, no. Same mother only, no. What happened last week? They were alive. Very difficult is to look up to. If you have to look up to, you should be inspired. Most of the time we get tempted. There is a difference between temptation and inspiration. Temptation is instantaneous. Inspiration comes through. Understand that there is a temptation, when we go to God, we are tempted by God. All those who are tempted by God think that they are inspired by God. What is the temptation there? Understand this difference. Temptation is different. Inspiration is different. What is temptation? Something will come instantly. Something will come instantly. That's why we ask, no? In which temple God is very powerful, sir? Why? Because, this temple God is not that powerful. Go there. God is very powerful there. And this temptation is misunderstood as inspiration, devotion, clarity. You need lot of clarity even to understand that these are These are separate. The gopis were inspired by Krishna. The gopis were inspired. You follow the difference. What is temptation and what is inspiration? Temptation is something that which is caters to you, something instantaneous. Inspiration is what is inspiration? What is inspiration? The energy given to let go. That is inspiration. You are stuck to the world. That man is able to inspire you. At least temporarily you are willing to let go. Inspiration is nothing but giving. What is inspiration? Inspiration is nothing but giving strength to another. Temptation takes away even the existing strength is lost in temptation. Understand the difference between inspiration and temptation. Both from outside looks the same, but fundamentally they are different. Fundamentally they are different. Be inspired. What is inspiration? By yourself you can't do that. By yourself you don't have the energy, the capacity to do that. Someone lends temporarily. It works temporarily. But still it is a very great, still it is an extraordinary help. You follow? And if you have to lend strength to another, you have to be strong. Correct. If you have to give strength to another, you should have it. And you should not have it in small quantities, Allah. You should have it in abundance is the word, right? If you have it in abundance, then you will be able to share. Then you will be able to give. How do you know that you have in abundance? The same situation, he stands unaffected. The same situation, you are affected. Same situation, he stays unaffected. Like the village preacher. The clouds go at he gives a beautiful simile, no? In the poem Village Preacher, the clouds are at the level of the breast, while eternal sunshine, the rolling clouds are at the breast, eternal sunshine settles on the head. What gives inspiration? How he is able to pick himself up, how he is able to remain unaffected, while at drop of the hat I am getting affected. That's the inspiration. Are you able to follow? So what is the nature of inspiration? Yes, strength. And you become strong by tapas. Two principles, two things you have to do to become strong. Manana, study and reflection, one pedal. The second pedal is tapas. The combined two things of the Shravana, the Manana, reflection and tapas brings about the strength. And that strength, your own mind looks up to you, listens to you. You are a source of strength to your own self. Then you become the source of strength to others also. At that level, personal appeal works. So much of work has to be done before personal appeal. Don't try. Why I am saying all this is, understand all this works for, all this will work for Krishna, stronger people. Not for, now I also go and try. He will say, okay, you do. Why should I am sweeping the house. Why can't you sweep the house? Appa and room is safe. If I tell this to her, she will say, I am sweeping. Why can't you sweep? She will say, okay, and room is safe. Sweep and go. Now I get more. Yeah. I don't know whether I have to beat myself or beat the personal appeal. It doesn't work. In the case of Krishna, it works. Why? He is able to inspire. And how he is inspiring? How he is able to inspire? By display of detachment. He is displaying detachment. That's why this verse is so wonderful. There is nothing in the three worlds that has to be done by me, nor anything unattained that has to be attained. Now in one word, what is he saying? In one word, what is he saying? I am completely detached. Are you able to follow? Arjuna was able to relate to that. He gets inspired. Are you able to follow? So, inspiration is coming from where now? Inspiration comes from your display of detachment. Remember the story he always gives, the fake sannyasi? The king comes and you all remember the story, no? Don't say I don't know the story, yeah? Yeah, you all know the story. Even if you put up a fake act of being detached, the king, the queen, the minister, everyone falls at your feet. So, what is inspiring? It is in one word, what is inspiring? It is detachment. That's where he says, another word for Vedanta is renunciation. Simply let go. That's all. Simply let go. Simply renounce. I am ready to renounce her, but what will I get? Oh, the renunciation is gone. I am ready to do all this, but what will happen to me? Go back and start. Go back and start reflection all over again. Are you able to follow? What is able to inspire? From these three worlds, there is nothing that I have to do, nor anything unattained that has to be attained. What amount of courage a man should have even to make a statement like this. See, throughout the Gita, so many statements he makes like that. Though killing, you don't incur sin, Arjuna. What a statement. What a courage you should have to make such a bold statement. Though killing, you don't incur sin. Here he is saying, nothing unattained that has to be attained. But at least you are interested in uplifting the world, no, Krishna? There is no world. Where is the world? Brahma Satyam. You see the world, you do all this. I have nothing to do because there is no world. Now when I see you, I see Brahman. When I see me, I see Brahman. And when I see you, I see Brahman. But when you see yourself as distinct and you see me as distinct. Therefore, you all have a different vision, you all have a different view. I'm not saying, Krishna is saying all that. I'm saying what Krishna says. I see Brahman in you. I don't see you, I see Brahman. Okay, when you look at yourself, you see there is no three worlds to do anything. And still you see me acting. Still you see me doing all actions. Follow my Follow my example. A personal appeal. It works when you convince another to follow your example. This is what is known as personal. This is what is known as personal appeal. And when does these appeals work? When they are inspired. And inspiration comes through? Correct. RK sir. Inspiration comes through detachment. And the way to get detached is manana and tapas. That's why these two pedals, manana and tapas, takes a person to the state of detachment. And what is inspiring? What I can't let go. How that man has let it go. What I think I can't live without. And that man is saying, it's not worth it at all. It's not needed at all. It's too contrasting. It's too contrasting. Oh my God. He surely must be knowing something. And inspiration comes to do what all? What all he does. In that sense, personal appeal works. 4 emotions are over. Motta 6 emotions left. 4 emotions are over. 2 more emotions we'll take up next class.
ரவி ஒரு நிமிஷம் சார் ஆர்கே சார்